Hello, today we will talk about animal nutrition. Um, for animal nutrition, we need to know the alimentary canal. So the alimentary canal is composed of a different region, as you can see from the figure, and we will discuss these regions and their functions in details. You can see the major regions on the top right figure. You can see where the storage occur in the stomach, where the digestion and absorption occur in the intestine, while the egestion from the anus and the ingestion from the mouth. You can see as well that generally the alimentary canal is lined by multiple many layers, including a lining epithelium with digestive glands and the circular and longitudinal muscle fibers. So basically nutrition is divided into several processes: ingestion, digestion, mechanical and chemical, absorption, assimilation, and digestion. Ingestion, of course, is taking the food substance as food and drink into body through the mouth, while the mechanical digestion is the breaking of food into smaller pieces without chemical change to food molecule, while the chemical digestion is the using of the enzymes secreted by the digestive tract to transform the large insoluble molecules into soluble ones. The absorption is the movement of these small food molecules and ions through the wall of the intestine into blood, while the assimilation is the movement of these digested food molecules into cells of body, where they are used and become part of the cells. And finally, the egestion is passing out the food that have not been digested or absorbed as feces through anus. And from the figure, you can see where is the regions of these processes occur. So if we have this table to see the location and the function of the main parts of the alimentary canal, we can see in the mouse three processes occur: ingestion, mechanical digestion, and chemical digestion. Ingestion, of course, of food using mouth and teeth, lips, and tongue. Mechanical digestion by the teeth. Chemical digestion of starch only occur in mouth by the enzyme amylase. Tongues is used to mix the saliva to form something called bolus, which can be easily swallowed. And then the mouth leads to the buccal cavity, to the throat or pharynx. The salivary gland, which each digestive gland, it forms a digestive juice formed of water, mucus, and amylase. This water dissolves substance in food, allowing us to taste it. Mucus help to stick this chewed food to form the bolus, and for easy lubrication of the mouth and easy swallowing. While the amylase, which called as well ptyalin, is used for chemical digestion of cooked starch and break it down into maltose. So amylase works on cooked starch, not uncooked starch, to convert it to maltose. Esophagus, or the gullet. Actually, esophagus, it only functions for transferring the food from the mouth to the stomach by a process called peristalsis. It is behind the trachea, which is the windpipe. There is an epiglottis, a flap of cartilage cover the entrance and trachea, which prevent the food from entering the windpipe. And it guides the food into esophagus as well by passing over the windpipe. The entrance to the stomach from the esophagus is guarded by a special kind of ring of muscles called sphincter. This muscle relaxes to let the food pass into the stomach. Once the food reaches the stomach secretes gastric juice which contain pepsin for chemical digestion of proteins. It produces hydrochloric acid as well to kill bacteria, and the peristalsis mixes food up into a liquid. In the small intestine generally is divided into two regions, duodenum and ileum. Duodenum is the first part, while the ileum is the second part. The duodenum receives the pancreatic juice for chemical digestion of proteins, fats, and the starch, and neutralize the acid coming from the stomach as well. It receives the bile to emulsify fat, and this type of digestion is called physical digestion. Actually, it's converting the fats into smaller chunks of pieces. While in the ileum, the enzymes in the epithelial lining carry out chemical digestion of maltose and peptides. The ileum is very long and has villi to increase the surface area for absorption. The pancreas, it's a mixed gland, secrete pancreatic juice into the duodenum via the pancreatic duct for chemical digestion as well of proteins, fats, and starch. The liver makes bile, contains salts to emulsify fats, and it's another mode of digestion, physical digestion. In liver occurs assimilation of digestive food such as glucose and deamination of excess amino acids. The gallbladder, which is in the liver, stores bile to be secreted into duodenum via the bile duct. While the cecum and the appendix function, the undigested food travel on through the cecum, past the appendix and onto the colon. In humans, the cecums and the appendix up till now have no function. The inside of the alimentary canal is lined with epithelium. New cells in epithelium are being produced all the time to replace the damaged cells by movement of the food, because the movement of the food scratches the lining of the epithelium, so they cast off, so they need to be renewed. Cells in epithelium can produce mucus, and this mucus is important in lubricating the lining of the canal, and it protects it from wearing and tearing. Mucus also protects the lining from the attack of the digestive enzyme, which are released into the alimentary canal. Some of the digestive enzymes are produced by cells in lining of the alimentary canal, as in the stomach lining. Other enzymes are produced by digestive glands that are outside the alimentary canal but pour their enzymes via ducts into the alimentary canal, like of course the salivary gland and the pancreas. Mechanical digestion. As you can see, if we're talking about mechanical digestion, we'll start talking by the teeth and the structure of the teeth. You can see the jaw, how it looks like. There is incisors, canine, premolars, and molars. And at the back of each lower and upper jaw, there are the wisdom tooth, which is actually a molar. And there is an upper jaw and lower jaw, and each teeth has a crown. So this table summarizes the types of the teeth and the position in the mouth and the description, its shape, what looks like, as well its a function. Of course, the incisors function beating off pieces of food, while canine similar function to incisors, while the premolars tearing and grinding food, while the molars are chewing and grinding food. The big difference between the premolars and molar, that premolars have 2 points cusps and have 1 or 2 roots, while the molar have 4 or 5 cusps and have 2 or 3 roots. The canine have a pointed end more than the incisors. If we look closely into the structure of the tooth, you can see that generally it consists of an upper part called the crown, the part which is visible above the gum line, while the lower part is the root, which is embedded in the jaw bone. In the upper part, the tooth is divided into an enamel, and it's a very hard layer covering the crown, and followed by underneath the enamel there are the dentine, which is softer. These 2 layers enclose a cavity which is called pulp cavity, which is inside the dentine and have nerves and the blood vessels. The tooth is embedded in gum, which is the tissue overlays the jaw. The whole tooth is fixed into the lower jaw, into the jaw's bone by a material called cement, and this enables the tooth to grip to the bony socket in the jaw. Terminally, you can see terminally that the tooth is supplied by blood vessel and nerves to enter the tooth through a small hole at the base of the root. You can see this figure, and you can see a side figure as well for the tooth. So the teeth undergo mechanical digestion or mastication, which, as we told you before, it's a breakdown of food into smaller pieces without any chemical change. Humans are omnivorous, so they have all the types of the tooth of the carnivores, but human teeth are not used for catching, holding, or killing or tearing up prey. Mammals also differ from other animals by having 2 sets of teeth, a milk set, which is deciduous, and the permanent teeth. What's dental decay? Dental decay is caused due to bacteria in mouth. The bacteria in mouth with saliva forms a sticky film over the teeth next to the gum and in between the teeth, and as you can see from the figure, it's called plaque. Plaque is soft and easy to remove at first, but if it hardens, it forms another structure which is called tartar that cannot be removed by brushing, so you need to go to the dentist to clean this structure. The gum disease. Okay, if you can see, if plaque is not removed, bacteria in it may infect gum. The gum start to swell, inflame, and they may bleed when you brush your teeth. But if the bacteria spread, they may reach the root of the teeth. The tooth become loose and needs removing. As you can see from figure 1, plaque is forming, then the plaque is not removed, the inflammation reach inside to the gum, and now the tooth is loosened and may fall out to be removed. Tooth decay. If sugar is left on the tooth, bacteria in plaque will feed on it. The decay begins when small holes like cavities appear in enamel, caused by bacteria. The bacteria feed and respire on sugar deposited on teeth and produce acid. These acids dissolve the calcium tooth in enamel, exposing dentine, and dentine is very sensitive because it is connected to nerves, which is inside the pulp. Dentine is softer than enamel and dissolve more quickly, so cavities are formed. You can see from the figure it starts by breaking the enamel. Once reached the dentine, the rate of dissolving is much faster. Then the cavity become distance between the cavities reduce the distance between outside of the teeth and nerve endings. So nerve will sense any change in the mouth. The acid produces irritate nerve ending and causes tooth ache. If the cavity is not cleaned and filled by a dentist, the bacteria will get into the pulp cavity and cause a painful abscess at root, as you can see from figure 4. Often the only way to treat this is to have the tooth pulled out.